guest was last seen touring the country as a standby for one of the most iconic roles in one of the most iconic shows. Please welcome to the Zoom, Natalia Vivino.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. It's so nice to be here. How are you?
Have you? I'm good. So I was actually thinking about how we met, and was it Children of Eden?
Yeah, it was through Cabrillo Music Theater, Children of Eden. That was our first show together. Um,
Hmm.
is when I was tracing it back in my memory, and it's wild because you were you were among the ensemble, and I remember like everyone. I mean, we were all younger when we did that show, but I remember like
Yeah.
a lot of the kids in it were like so teeny tiny. Now they're all grown up, and I've watched you grow, since that production and all the things you're doing. So that's been really cool.
Oh, thank you. How old were you in Children of Eden?
I was 19.
Oh my God, because I'm about to be 19. And the thought of like, wow. So you were like a baby. That's such a
Yeah,
young girl.
I thought I was like, an adult, which
Uh-huh.
technically, yeah, but like also, yeah,
Yeah.
I was a baby. 19 is still very much that's very young. Yeah.
Still talks about your performance as Yona.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yes, it was, you were just, oh, it was so beautiful. And that was my first professional show. So getting to watch you and all the other adults was so inspiring. But I think I did see you in were you in Bye Bye Birdie?
I wasn't Bye Bye
Real?
Birdie. I was Deborah Sue. I was Deborah Sue.
Yeah. So
Yes.
did you always know that you wanted to do theater?
Well, it was like, it was a pretty funny journey for me because as a kid, when I was doing it and taking musical theater classes and doing shows, I was a shy kid. And so it took me a long time to even like work up the courage to take voice lessons and take acting
Wow.
classes. Cause it's like, you're doing things in front of other students. And like, I had to tell myself like, I have to be able to be comfortable to do this. And, there was always something in me that really wanted to be on stage, but for a long time I was overcoming that hump of like I'm shy. And then
Yeah.
so for a while, even after high school graduation, it was this kind of like dream that felt super hard to reach, or I was kind of overwhelmed on like where do I even start, like how
Yeah.
do I even go about doing this professionally, like how do you get an agent, what do
Yeah.
I do, where do you find the auditions for the all of that was overwhelming. And I was just doing shows in the community after high school. It took me that long. And then I was doing musicals in high school as well, but
Uh-huh.
it was that bubble there where like the musical theater program, that was like a class, and so like they like made us audition for the show. It was
Yeah.
really
So
good.
you started doing community theater in high school?
No, I started doing it after graduation, after high school graduation.
Wow.
Yeah, so by
Wow.
Pretty at Cabrillo was my first show outside of high school, and
Wow.
that was when I was like about to graduate high school when I did that.
That is amazing.
Once I started getting more and more serious about it, and then Adam's Family happened, and then Children of Eden and all these things, and I was like, okay, like I'm really like feeling myself. Like I think I could do this, and like so I started putting myself out there more and more and more. It took I signed with my agent after Children of Eden, and then it took me like 3 years before Wicked happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I studied a completely different subject in college.
Mhm.
I truly was like, there was a part of me for a long time that was like, I want to do this, but I just like, I gotta like play it safe, and I don't know. And now I'm just like, oh my God, no, go for it. Like, do it.
I don't know how you could ever feel that way because you are so insanely talented. You studied journalism, or what were you
Yeah.
studying in college?
I studied broadcast journalism, which in a way
Uh-huh.
felt like performing.
Uh-huh.
Because I was doing like the anchoring, and I was also writing, and there was the radio shows that I was doing too. So it felt like another creative outlet for me, but it was also like another option as a career, and I
Uh-huh.
felt pretty confident in, and like I was doing a good job. but always, always, always in the back of my mind, like theater was always there. And it was funny. It would always like find a way back to me, even when I would like take a break. Like when, the show I did before Wicked was Newsies at See Me. And that was funny how that happened, because I had not been in a show for almost a year. I hadn't been thinking about being in another show, but it's like the way things like kept coming to me, I was like, okay, like maybe I should like look at the signs.
Yeah. Were you going to college to have a plan B job?
Yeah.
So you could pursue performing?
Pretty much. It was like, but I didn't like calling it a plan B, because in my mind it's like when you call something plan B, it's like, oh, plan B.
Right.
I was like, no, like I want to make sure this is a thing where like I'm just as excited about it as I am with the arts. So I really tried to do that. Like a month before graduating college, I was working at CBS in Studio City, and I was doing associate producing and stuff. And that was, you know, came with its own challenges, and it's a whole other world. And television news and all of that. And I was only there for like a few months, because then Wicked suddenly called and was like, can you go on the road? And I was like, but I mean, I guess the timing couldn't have been better, because I had been auditioning for that show throughout college, and any year where I still had school to finish, that was always an issue.
Yeah.
Like, thinking about that. So I'm glad that it happened like after school is done, and like I don't have to worry about like, what if I have to skip a year and do this to do, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that is unbelievable. So when you started doing professional theater right out of high school, was it like, oh, I'm doing this for a career, or you still weren't sure?
I still wasn't sure. I knew I really loved it. I was trying not to put too much weight on it, like in my mind. I was like, I will keep auditioning for shows and see what happens, and if it's meant to go further, it will. Was kind of the mentality I tried to maintain. I mean, there were years, there were times when I was auditioning for lots of things in Orange County and other areas of California, and you know, it's like there's moments where things speed up and you do a lot, and then moments where it's just really slow. And so in the moments where it was slow and I wasn't doing much performing, it felt good to have another outlet to distract myself, basically. I mean, a lot of skills that come from being an actor on stage helped me in broadcast journalism, especially with, there's something called, you see reporters do it all the time. They're called as lives, and it's basically when the reporter is out in the, we call it like out in the field, like they're at the set of the story or whatever, and they have their mic and they're telling the camera live what's happening, and that's all like unscripted. It's just like
improv.
Just know their story. So when we were doing that in school and that was presented to us, I was like, oh, so it's like improv. You just have to have your main points that you need to hit, and it's really hard to do. But like, theater helped me in those ways.
Were you training outside of school?
I wasn't really training much. I was going on auditions, and I treated like being in shows as my training. Because it's hard when you have classes and you're trying to get a degree, and then it's like, okay, it's been a while since I've been in class. I would love to go back to class, especially since being on tour and all of that. You learn a lot when you're doing the thing.
Yes.
You know, you really do. I mean, like there's class is great because it'll prepare you with like a great like toolbox of skills to pull out of your pocket when you're, you know, in rehearsals, when you need to choices, you know. But like starting that tour, being on tour with Wicked and going from, it was like going from 0 to 100. The learning curve was like insane, but it helped me so much. And but I would love to go back to class because, you know, I want to be able to like offer more in auditions and like be able to like have more confidence and more, you know. So but in school it was hard. I didn't have much time.
So
Yeah.
how did Wicked come about then?
Well, let's see. Okay, I was with my agent. I think it was the second year I was with my agent, but it was around the time when I was nominated at the Ovations, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was called in. I got a call to audition um, for the ensemble slash understudy Elphaba. And I remember being I was 20 years old, and I was very, very, very like, that's
Oh my gosh.
like,
Yeah.
okay, this is a dream show. But
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh my God, I don't know. I was like, I just gotta do my best. I had never auditioned for a national tour or Broadway, anything before. So
Mhm.
that alone was like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
don't give up. Like, and I
Yeah.
went, and my my only goal was to get a call back. I was keeping it simple. It's like, if I can get a call back, I'll be proud of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I got a call back, and I got another one, and then I made it to the end in LA. And then they come to LA, I think, every 6 months normally.
Yeah. Every January they're in
Yeah,
LA.
yes, every January. And I did that, and then my agent told me, well, they really liked you. They've put you on file. And I'm like, what does that mean? And
Mm-hmm.
like the next year, I did the process all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Same materials, same everything. And then nothing. And I was like, okay. Year after that, I was like, well, it's kind of becoming a tradition that I audition for Wicked every year. So let's see what I can do. And that year, for some reason, they were having trouble. Um, they were like really tight on appointments, um, and I was non-union still, and so my agent was like, just like, we're trying really hard to get you an appointment, but just go to the open call just in case. And I was like, okay. And I went to the open call. Crazy. And then
Mm-hmm.
while I was waiting in line at the open call, I got the email from my agent that was like, you'll come back tomorrow to do like an appointment. And I was like, oh, cool.
No.
Yeah, so I did the open call, even though I had an appointment for the next day. I was like, I better just finish this. And I
Oh,
was
so you
like,
went in. So
so
you
I did it.
did. Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
gosh.
the fastest process ever. It's truly, you walk into the room, you sing 8 bars a cappella, you leave. It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And I was like, what just happened? And then the next day I was like, okay, I'll just, and then that call, it was kind of intimidating. I remember it was when I did the sign-in list thing, and everybody there was either SAG or Equity.
Mm-hmm.
I was none. So I was like, oh, okay, like, I don't know what's happening. They were still calling me in for ensemble slash Elphaba understudy. So I, same materials, did the thing, left. And I didn't think much of it after that. And I thought, you know what? It's been 3 years. I've been auditioning for this. Some people, it takes even longer. I'm just gonna, if it's meant to be, it will be. But I gotta just like
Mm-hmm.
let go of like waiting for
That's
something.
so hard though. It
Really hard
sounds so
to do.
much easier than it is. Yeah.
It's hard to do. And I just really had like sat myself down and was like, it's okay, like whatever. In June, I was at a shift at CBS working, and my agent randomly called me and was like, hey, you have a sec? And I'm like, yeah. And this was 6 months later. I had that final call back in January, and 6 months later he called me. So just to tell you how strange the timeline is for things sometimes. And he was like, so like, how do you feel? What are your plans in like September? And I was like, I don't know, the same thing I've been always doing. I'm like, what? And he's like, how do you feel about going on a tour? And I was like, it had been sung. I forgot about Wicked. So I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
tour? Like, I didn't go out for a tour. Wicked called, and they're looking for a new Elphaba standby.
I have goosebumps. That is just oh.
Yeah, and he was like, now it's not official yet, but your name is in the mix, and
Oh.
there's discussion. So this isn't an official offer, but I just want to let you know that you are in the running. And I was like, oh, okay. And I like had to finish my shift like nothing happened. I was like, okay. A day or two later, he calls again, and he says, okay, it's between you and like one other girl. And I was like, okay. And then a few days after that, he said, you got the job. And I like fell to the floor. I mean, it was insane. And then it was like, okay, so, and then by that point it was July. And he said, so late August, you will be like starting your official like standby shifts. So you're going to leave at this time, you'll be rehearsing in San Jose. And then that's it. It just, everything changed. telling, informing my current job of what had happened was an interesting conversation.
Did they even know that you are a performer?
They knew, but they thought like, oh, like that's cool. She does it for fun. And then I was like,
Right.
so I got a national tour. I was like, it was really my boss was kind of just like, oh my God, like she really didn't realize like, but then they were really supportive and very
Did they
proud.
come and see the show?
It was not possible because we didn't go through LA. I made my debut in Vegas, but that was like a whirlwind, like finding that out. It's tricky to coordinate friends and family to come see me specifically in it because I'm a cover. So unless it's like there's a date that's like well in advance, it's like most of the time I find out like, the day of, maybe a couple hours before. One time, I think the shortest notice I had was like an hour or two before the show. But it was like, it's never felt like, oh my God, okay, all right, get ready, get your stuff. Like it's never felt like that. Thank God. Like I've heard stories. Like I haven't done what they call like a witch switch, where they switch you mid show, or those are things that I like in the back of my mind. I'm like, I just like mentally prepare for it, but that has not happened. Yes. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So when you got the call from your agent saying that you were in the mix, I actually went through this process last week, and it is a whirlwind. Knowing you're so close, oh my gosh, knowing you're so close, you want to be excited, but also it's not official. It's just a lot. Were you hopeful, or was it just so out of the blue you didn't even know what to think?
I was hopeful. I was hopeful, and I thought, oh my gosh, like this is a chance for me to do this. And one of my goals had been like, I really want to book like a professional production through my agent. I want to do that. I want to be able to be like, yes, I got that gig.
Yeah.
That was my goal. And so like it happened. I was hopeful. I was very hopeful. And I think I had a feeling deep down that it was going to work out. But yeah, it's insane.
Oh my God. I think a huge lesson from this story, now knowing that it took 3 years, is you just have to keep going, because in its right time, it will happen if it's meant to happen for you.
You have to keep going, especially if like, if it's like you go out for something and they called you back, and it's like, if they didn't cast you this time, just go back again. Just keep because it's a very good sign if they called you back in. And
How long were you on tour for before Corona?
August to March. So it was like 6 months. Everything stopped March 12th. When we were flown back home. And we've been home since.
How has your quarantine been? What have you been up to?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna like be honest. I mean, so beginning of quarantine was like really, really hard. It was super hard because it was such a big adjustment to like, oh, maybe everything will stop for like 2 weeks and then it will go back to normal, to, oh wow, like this is going on for months.
I was expecting you to say the opposite, because I can't imagine how stressful your job is. So I was expecting you to say, oh, it's great, a break.
The timing for as a cover, like getting in your groove, where you start like getting your rhythm with the part, the way like you're doing it, and like, becoming more and more comfortable with the material, the more shows you do. I was really starting to feel, around the time that Corona was looming, I was starting to feel like, wow, I've got a groove going, and like, call me on any time, I'm ready. And then it was like, all right, guys, we gotta stop everything for now. And I was like, oh my gosh. So the beginning of quarantine was hard. Though I will say, looking back on all of that, I'm glad that I went through those struggles, because cheesy, it's brought me to where I am right now.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I feel like I'm in a, like, it would be foolish not to acknowledge that 2020 was a horrible year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Including me, including you, I'm sure. Like, I don't know, but like, it just, there were a lot of hardships that people were going through. And then, lots of social justice wrapping up, a lot of political strife and things like that. So it became just a tornado of a year. And, you know, I guess like in that storm, I tried really hard to like focus on like keeping myself healthy, working on my mental health, you know, doing what I can to support my community and, you know, spread my, use my voice, you know, and just, but it was like, it's in the beginning, it was a lot of like low points mentally. I didn't feel motivated. I didn't sing for a long time. I just didn't feel right. And then, you know, it got to a point where I feel like I found more of an appreciation for like simpler things in life, simpler joys, and, you know, just like try to practice gratitude every day. And it's been a real, like, for me personally, it's been like a huge journey.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what this was.
Yeah. No, it's so true.
Like, you know, the curve, the learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. So
Yeah.
what would you say has been the most challenging part of your journey so far?
That's a good question. I will go back again to, honestly, it's mental health, and but I really like, I'm proud of myself because I've taken it by the reins, and I'm like, okay, like there's only so much that I can do for myself during this time, but now it's like, I think it's time for me to get like professional, like insight. And so like, you know, I'm happy to share, proud to say, like, I've been in therapy. It's really great. It's really helpful. Super big advocate of that for anyone who, like, needs it. You know, I think that it's an important thing to like be open about and make people feel comfortable about, like, sharing. There's no shame in going to therapy. You know, it's like, it's good to take care of your mental health. I feel like in our society, there's, you know, everything is go, go, go. And like, everything is so fast paced, and it makes it easy to forget to just take some time to breathe, you know, just like, sort our thoughts out and take some time to just like, you know, appreciate life. So yeah, that was my biggest challenge. And sometimes it still is a challenge, but I found better ways to cope and like, and pull myself out of that rut if I feel back, you
What
know.
are some creative outlets for you that you've found when you're stressed or?
Well, normally, so when I finally felt up to singing again, I started doing it again, and that feels that's always felt therapeutic for me to do. I really like artwork. You know, I do a lot of like adult coloring books and stuff like that. I like to like go the extra mile and like add glitter. Like, I don't know. And then there's I mean, I'm a nerd. Like, I built a lot of Legos, but like, I love it. Zone out. Yeah. I started doing this thing where I'm writing people letters, because I find it rewarding. It feels
That's
like
so
so
cool.
fulfilling to make people feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, something I wanted to do for a while. I wanted to get in touch with, you know, friends and family, but also like strangers who sent me mail because they love Wicked, and they were like, hey, I like you know. I'm like, that's really nice. Like, hey, I want to send you a letter.
That's so sweet.
Like, yeah.
So you're like sending the fan mail back to the fans.
Pretty much, yeah. I want to do that. I feel like it's so important to, if there are people out there who are like showing their support and you know, cheering you on, like, it's nice to acknowledge them, and even if it's just like, oh, hey, thank you, like, could make their day, could, you know, if I can do that, I will. And like, it makes me feel good to do that. I think it's a nice thing to do. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So with theater being just so uncertain right now, what's your mindset on the future of touring and being a performer?
Well,
do you act on screen?
I don't, and I really want to. I haven't started with film and TV yet, but I'm very interested. That to me also feels like that's a whole other like universe.
Yeah.
As far as even like getting your foot in the door, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh. So
Yeah.
I would definitely. I mean, I know when I have the time, whenever I'm done with the tour, I would want to take like screen acting classes,
Mhm.
things like that. I'd want to like get comfortable in front of a camera, because that's a whole other medium that I'm totally interested in. But as far as like what I think for the future, I do feel that we'll all be back. I feel that when theater comes back, it's going to come back with like a bang because people
Mm.
miss it
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
much. Like I was streaming the Ratatouille, but it was making me think like, wow, like first off, incredible that a whole community of people on TikTok made a
Mhm.
show.
Yeah.
The show, like people love theater and they
Mhm.
miss it, and like this that experience, it was for charity. It raised like $1 million for
Yeah.
the Actors Fund. It was like really cool, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm just so excited. I'm excited to see what happens when theater comes back, because people will want to
Mhm.
go out, people will want to see shows.
Yeah.
It's been so long. The things that we took for granted when
Mhm.
they were all so readily available to us, like movie theaters. Like
Mhm.
I think I remember there being like whispers of like, oh my gosh, like I wonder how long movie theaters will last now that streaming. But now after COVID, it's like they've been closed. People are like, I want to go to the movies, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think movie theaters will go away anytime soon. I think live
No.
theater will always live on. Like it's
Yeah.
just So it may be more months until that can happen. But I'm holding on a hope that
Mhm.
it's gonna feel really good when it all comes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what are your kind of career goals, and where would you love to see your career go?
Um. Uh, that's a good question. I I would love to keep being on stage as long as I can, as long as
Mhm.
I can pull that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, I would love to do plays. I'd love to do, more musicals. There's other things I want to achieve in life. I mean, I really want to like write a book. I want to, again, like I was saying before, try film, TV. Um, maybe. Well, I've had thought about the, you know, the podcast thing too, but
Yeah.
it's yeah. There's all kinds of different things I just want to try in life,
Mhm.
like and um the novel thing especially I want to do. I mean, and it's funny when I say it's like so many people want to write a novel, so many people want it, but it's these are my goals. So
Yeah.
if I can keep being on stage, I will be totally content. You know.
Who do
So
you look up to in the Broadway world?
oh, I love Jessie Mueller.
Mhm.
She's incredible. I do look up to my co-star, Green sister Talia Suskauer. Audra McDonald is really cool. Now I'm just fangirling. Like all the stars that I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like writers I really like, novelists I look up to. I really love Meg Cabot. She's the writer of the Princess Diaries series.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just think like as a person, she seems really cool and like
Mhm.
fun to like sit down and have lunch with her,
Yeah.
talk about writing. um, yeah, oh my gosh, let me think of more. I know there's more. It's like when people ask, "What's your favorite movie?" and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I know this answer."
Right. Yeah. Or musical. I can never just, yeah. It's always like, oh my God. Do you ever see broadcast journaling becoming part of your life again?
Um, if that's what the universe has in store for me. I know the thing is with that field, it's so just like with drama and
Hmm.
acting, it's like you're either doing it or you're not. At a
Right.
certain point, there's a point where you make a choice.
Yeah.
Um, So, you know, if I do wind up doing that again, it's because I decided, okay, this is my full-time career now. So at the moment, I'm like, I'm gonna keep trying to do theater as much as I can. But you know, if my journey changes where it's like this fits me better now and this is what I want to do, then I'd make that transition, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, for my heart is set on the arts for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What advice or what would you tell your 13-year-old self?
I would tell her if she can do anything she sets her mind to, and it doesn't matter if you're short or if you have like a certain, oh my god, I remember as a preteen and a teenager being really caught up in like, what's my look, because like, and it was so silly because like it doesn't like it, I mean like in I was worried about that because I didn't have enough faith in my abilities as their own thing. So I was like, maybe I need to like, you know, I don't know. Wait, I'm stuttering. Let's start this.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, wait. Okay, so
Okay, should I ask the question again? Okay.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 13, 14, 15-year-old self if you could?
I would tell her she can do anything she sets her mind to. Period. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't. And if you're just starting out in something and you're not perfect, that's okay because there's always room to grow. And making mistakes is part of that. So
Yeah.
it's okay if you don't have the best voice in the world or you can't belt
You
all
train.
notes. You train. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
train. And you just, you know, you keep the faith. And if you love it and your heart's in it, then you can't do any wrong. Like just
That's so golden. I feel like with social media, it's easy to see people's successes and feel like, oh, I'm not at that level. I can't do that. No, you just have to work hard. You don't
Yeah.
see the behind the scenes of
Yeah.
what they're, you
Yeah.
know?
I completely agree. I do think that social media, one of the issues, and I think one of the reasons that people get, you know, their self-esteem goes down or they get depressed is because all you see majority of the time is like
A highlight reel.
win upon win upon win. Yeah,
Yes.
highlights. And it's like, and then there's like 20 somethings who are like, I'm an influencer and I've got like millions of dollars. And it's like, what? And then so then people are like, oh, well, I'm in my 20s and I'm still trying to figure out my career. And it's like, that's okay. Okay if you're not at the tip top. Like, yeah, the journey
So
is absolutely the big part of it. So yeah. You know, it's yeah, there's such a highlight on like this like rapid success on like social media, especially it, like highlights that. And it's like, but that's not really how it works. Like
yeah.
all these like overnight success is a thing, but that person was still working
Right.
more than for
Yeah.
a long time to get that. You know,
Maybe it got recognized very quickly, but like you said, they've been training. You can't just wake up and be able to be Elphaba.
no.
Like you just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to other young performers?
Same advice I gave my 13-year-old self. You just, you know, it's a hard industry. Can be intimidating. You know, there's a lot of fish in that sea, but you know, it's about perseverance. And if you really love it, you will keep going, and things will happen when they're meant to happen. You know, you'll face like setbacks or you'll come really close to getting things and it may not happen, but you know, just keep trying and keep going, because once you finally do get something, it's going to feel like so good. And if you're working hard at it, it's going to feel like it really paid off.
Yeah.
You know?
What has Elphaba taught you?
So many things. She is incredibly brave. She's fearless, and she's not afraid to speak out and stand up against injustice and fight for those who are struggling. And you know, she's taught me to use my voice more and, you know, be more vocal in terms of like what I stand for, and you know, standing up for people, and you know, she's an incredibly good person, but she's, you know, perceived as this wicked, vile thing, and she's just trying to make the world a better place. And you know, some of what she does is like considered like controversial in the show, but like she's just a freaking badass. And so she's taught me to like use my voice more, and be brave, and be proud of what you stand for, and like, you know, yeah.
That's amazing. So do you feel like embodying this character has made you a more confident person?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, she's not afraid to say exactly what's on her mind, which is another thing I really admire about her.
Mhm.
And it's something that, like, for me, like, I tend to like think over things before I want to say them, and like I, you know, at times I have the tendency where it's like I, you know, want to make sure that, oh, I'm not like causing a ruckus, but like
Right.
but she's like, I don't care, I'm gonna be
The opposite.
about this. And it's awesome. She's awesome. Like, I would, if I were in class with her, I would be like, oh my gosh, like, who is this girl? Like, I want to be her friend, but I'm
Also kind of scared of her.
I was like, I want to be her friend, but like, I also don't want to bother her, but like,
Right.
she's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
So welcome. Thank
You're
you.
amazing. I cannot wait to see what you do next. I'm a big fan.
I'm a fan of you, Julia. All right.